Welcome to our spoiler discussion of the new movie, The Drama, starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. We're gonna divide this video into 4 parts. The first will be talking about the message, what the themes are, if it's effective, what we thought about them. The second is gonna be the performances. The next part will be is the drama juicy enough? And lastly, our general rating and if we recommend watching it or not. Folks, this is the first part of the Rob Daya trilogy that we're gonna get this year, which of course is The Drama, The Odyssey, and concluding with Dune.
And also someone made this weird video about how Rob Daya is this new thing and we're going to be entering in a whole new world of Rob Daya films. So this is the beginning, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
of a trinity.
Let's see what happens.
Dear Letterboxd, let's be honest. If Emma wasn't played by one of the most gorgeous women ever, would we even have empathy for her?
So this is where this movie is gonna definitely be super controversial, have a bunch of video essays, half-star reviews, 5-star reviews, depending on how you feel about the fact that she's a potential school shooter. So I had this issue with Eddington. A part of me is like, okay, cool, we have a film that tackles COVID, that tackles these far-right movements, far-left movements, the surface level conflict we have, and just how dumb we kind of look from the outside.
Yeah.
And this movie, I think, tries to do that with the topic of school shootings. And I do think, of course, it is a very, very present, relevant issue in America, and it should be much more talked about, much more urgent. But I also think that America severely lacks urgency. We have this insane tendency to seek comfort, be passive, and not know how to unite over anything because people are so quick to dismiss something or find a topic to just blabber about where that also leads to nothing. So it's a part of me can kind of see where he's going. If he does think that way, he's not American, he's Norwegian. So I don't know if a part of him thinks maybe this is really common to have people glamorize this idea of a school shooter because it's edgy, it involves guns, and gun culture is a thing in America. And I hate to say it, but there are so many young, impressionable people that grow up isolated who have fathers in the military, have to move a lot, and don't really connect with people in schools because they're new or they're just naturally socially awkward or have mental issues that they aren't aware of.
Yeah.
Because there's an epidemic here with healthcare too, right? I could see just from the tidbits we got of Emma's character where she could romanticize that. Americans tend to play off serious, present subject matters as jokes.
Yeah.
And so much of this film's comedy relied on her holding guns, being in front of a video cam, the video glitching, and I don't really know if it's the topic to use for this kind of plot twist.
Yeah, I don't know if it is the topic to use, but I also think that it is an interesting topic to use and put it on a female character as well, because it allows me, the audience member, to easily understand the perspective of potential school shooter. If it, let's switch it up. Let's say it was Robert Pattinson that was the one to deal the most horrible thing that out of the room, right? And he said, "I was thinking of raping a woman."
Yeah.
This whole entire, there would be no film. Be this guy's horrible. I don't care. There's no lead points here. I think since it's a woman, we're curious. What is the POV of this woman, right? If it was a man saying that, I'd be I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
turning this
immediately
off.
horrible.
And so the fact that it's Zendaya that's playing this character, I also now want to understand the humanity. But I agree with you too. Once it goes into, so we're gonna take a pause on this video. We gave some time and we have some new thoughts about The Drama.
It's been a couple days
and
marinated.
There's some things that we realized about the characters, about the moral of the story. But Lila, what do you think about the character so far after a couple days?
Well, I always didn't like Rachel post the film during, but I do think that she represents a really big majority of American society because she's very quick to jump to extreme judgment and is then overreacting so much or also just causing a scene and expecting that to be reciprocated that it pushed Charlie to kind of question his reaction. Because I'm sure if Emma told him the secret in private, he might have just shrugged his shoulders because he's British.
I would say British people are not superficial.
They understand that humans are layered. It's not black or white.
Yes.
And it's funny because I think the way Rachel reacts in this film almost gaslights and kind of makes us feel like Charlie, where it puts us into that same loop of, is Emma that bad, or is are just trying to feel bad because it's the right thing to do.
I feel like that was a really interesting thing from the director's point of view, to surround Zendaya's character Emma around these people who are constantly kind of like keeping an eye of her, so quick to attack her and get her out. And you have Robert Pattinson's character who's in a relationship with her to kind of defend her and sympathize with. And I think that's the thing that we kind of get into, is that when do we find a fine line of like, when do we sympathize, when do we not sympathize, right?
Not to mention the fact that she's the only one that kind of went through a redemption arc in a way that she owned up to her mistakes and ideology and actually tried to change. It is a very controversial topic to frame that around, but it is what would cause a reaction from us to get to this conversation.
Yeah, and another thing too is like with the character that Alana Haim plays. Now, I'm not trying to associate school shootings with the fact that happened, what happened at the wedding, but I think what that character did was almost a mental shooting to everybody, and that everybody who left that wedding was mentally zapped, mentally changed, everything. I would even go as far as to say Alana Haim's character did more bad for her community than what Zendaya did. What's funny is that her character doesn't want to acknowledge it, right? If anything, it wants to almost like cast you as though you're a witch that needs to be killed.
Yep.
And so that's a funny thing that we deal with, especially in modern times. Like, we have a layer of socialism in Soviet reign where if you talk about Stalin bad, you're out of the system. And it's being replicated in modern times with, oh, I don't want to be associated with somebody who could be a serial killer, because if my job hears about that, if my family hears about that, my value goes down because I'm just associated with you. And that's like the weird thing with the corporate world. You can't be associated with flawed people, because it can potentially lose.
But we're all flawed though. It just varies on the scale.
Yeah, it's very confusing, right? Like, you hear, so if you think about it, every character has been influenced by the internet in some way or form.
I think because we're so chronically online in one way or another, we lose a lot of empathy factors and human elements. But, I think the movie does a really good way of making all of these things complex. You do have Rachel's character with a cousin who's disabled and whose life was practically ruined from a school shooting.
Right.
And yeah, Emma did technically not commit a crime, but the fact that she went out of her way to go practice shooting with a gun,
and I feel like that's the thing that
makes it really
this
morally
this ambiguous. Morally very ambiguous, where I don't know where to stand with, and that's the thing that I can't stand about this film.
Okay.
And I feel like,
I guess we're back to rebuttaling.
And like, that's the thing where I feel like this director is constantly trying to mess with the audience. If I were to go through this film and give a point to each person of what bad they've done, honestly, everyone's like honestly leveled. And that's the thing that I don't like. The director was always trying to find ways for you to be like, I hate this person. Oh wait, but their cousin's paralyzed.
I don't know though.
I hate this person, but she didn't actually shoot him.
I do think cheating a day before your wedding is pretty biblically evil, bad.
Right, but also lying to your not telling your husband,
potential spouse why your ears,
like, why your ears this and what you've done in the past.
But then she knew it would cause that. That's why.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really annoys me with this film, is that anytime you were to, I'm gonna put my flag down of who I sympathize with, or who I stand with, the deriders always giving something to them. Yeah, like, it's really hard for me to make a stand, and I feel like this is what it is. Like, it's the definition of Ari Aster and this director.
I have a new term for it.
Yeah.
Cynical cinema.
So cynical cinema, what is cynical cinema then? Tell me.
It feels like a man that sees all of us as action figures, but that person is a sociopath and a masochist. So they want to see all those characters suffer, and clearly they don't really feel anything towards any of them. Like, they don't prefer one over the other.
Yeah.
So everyone is a part of that masochism.
And I could literally see Ari Aster and Borgli getting a box of popcorn, turning their plasma screen or their flat screen OLED TV into a vertical iPhone, and just like kind of just going through Twitter or Reddit, and just like enjoying seeing everyone's opinions, because that's the unique thing of not being a modern day director, especially at their level. Back then, a director would have to go to newspapers and hear critics and like,
or just imagine pry
opinions out of people that they see. But now, like, for these directors, they can literally make films in order to make a rage fire, and then they can see the result on the internet immediately.
Oh, I see the result.
And I feel like that's the thing that's really odd in this modern day generation, especially these two directors. I feel like they're making films, and then once they're done, they're literally getting their phones out and just like, they're phone addicted. They're just going to go on Twitter. They're going to go on Reddit. They're going to go on Instagram, see every little opinion and see just how these monkeys are jumping around over their film.
I have 2 points to make, or 3. One is Ari Aster did say that for Eddington, he used Twitter as a huge source of research. Two, people are actually being really tame on Twitter about this movie, and I'm actually kind of surprised at how it's leading to more conversations and making revelations about people like Alana Haim and how that's very toxic, but also not putting Emma as a complete saint either, which is also cool. So I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a full-blown, just because it mentions school shootings, it's done. So I'm happy. I think Zendaya is a big part of that, and I also think her attractiveness adds to our empathy. Because I think if Zendaya was played by Alana Haim, we might have different opinions. So that also says a lot about how we react to characters and to situations.
Yeah.
And that's what leads to my rebuttal to your sense of disdain with this movie. I'm also not a huge fan of Ari. I didn't love Dream Scenario, but I'm really enjoying the introspection this film has given me, even though it's not too deep, and just seeing people's reactions to everything online and hopefully with my friends soon. But I don't know. I think because it involves a couple and it's played by two people I find fun to watch is maybe adding to it. But I really like that it's leading to all these things being talked about. And I do think the ending with it being funny and sort of it giving empathy to both characters in a way, I'm willing to go past the cynical nature of these directors for this one.
Yeah, so we might say at the end that we didn't want to watch this film, but I think we would want to watch this film a little bit.
I would want to watch it with like multiple people and more so look at their faces. Yeah. And then get a hearing of what they think about Emma, Charlie, and Rachel. I feel like that should be the new test. Instead of 16 personalities and astrology, we add that to it. Like, who do you empathize with the most?
Yeah, no, I definitely would watch it again too. I feel like this one's going to be a film that, as we get older, we're going to look at.
It might even age better.
It's going to age a lot. No, it's going to age a lot better, in my opinion. We're going to look back at this film and say, "Oh my God,
product of its time.
A product of its time. It is a great representation, just like Kramer versus Kramer is a product of its time."
Meryl Streep.
But we're like, oh, how great was it that they found an opportunity to make Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman together, right? We're gonna look at this in the future and our like laser projected
IMAX.
VR glasses, IMAX, Screen X, like AI glasses that we have, and we're just gonna be scrolling through this 50,000 streaming services, and we'll stop at this one film. We're like, wow, Robert Pattinson and Zendaya was in a film. Like, I want to watch this. Like, that's so cool. They were so big in the 2020s.
Well, I'm hoping that media like this will dismantle that mentality, and we will go more towards a society that is willing to discuss not only those major issues, but also just give room to understand people that may be plagued by the internet's negative influences and vice versa.
Yeah, so I'm glad.
And also,
yeah, I'm glad that. Let's go back to the past. This film didn't seem to understand when it's supposed to be serious and when it's supposed to be a laugh moment. But then at the same time, maybe that's our problem, right? Maybe if you were to look at the film just as it is, it's not a laugh moment, but it is a moment just showing like how ridiculous this person is, and we're just laughing at the fact of that. And like, that's the thing with this film, it's almost like a test on who we are as humans. Like, do we laugh at this moment or do we not? Do we feel for Charlie's character when he's crying, or Emma, or do we laugh at those moments? And so like, I think that's the thing with Ari Aster films and also this guy's films, is that they're always testing us to see how we will react. I do think it is an interesting topic to hit at, where it's like, okay, immediately I have a reaction. It is kind of like now the modern day serial killer, right? In the 70s, we had so many serial killers. They were making all these characters out of them. People loved them too. They romanticized them. And now this new version of that is in school shootings. Granted, no one's romanticizing these school shooters, but it is the new thing that Americans are doing now. I don't know if it's the problem of the film or it's a problem of the fact that America is too scared or too much of a bitch to talk about this issue. That is the problem that we're in. We're just looking for scraps and pieces of like hoping a director talks about this issue. So this film is very American, but the funny thing is that it's not made by an American. It's made by a European,
Norwegian,
who's looking into our world. But I think that's what makes this film kind of interesting, is that we're seeing an outsider perspective of what America is. To put it simply, America is very weird, but the ending was an interesting choice. And I just want to know, what do you think about the ending?
Honestly, I saw it coming from miles away. The way they met each other, to then have Zendaya use this, let's start again, because they literally started again when they met, because, you know, she didn't hear him the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
To have that happen
when she's trying to comfort him through their stress. So the minute that I saw that scene happen twice, it's like, of course it's gonna wrap up that way. So I definitely wasn't surprised by it, and I wasn't mad at it. I like that they reached this middle ground, and I almost think that, I'm not sure what to label this psychologically, but I feel like in a lot of relationships, there's this idea of an eye for an eye, even if it happens subconsciously. Because once Robert knew this thing about Zendaya's character, about Emma, he just saw everything as a sign to validate that she's crazy or that she's a killer. And it subconsciously led him to sin and to do something that is also unforgivable in most scenarios.
Yeah.
So they definitely met in the middle at the end. I feel like what they did to each other, it's almost like this thought of, okay, if they still accept me and they're willing to start again and to keep living together and be in a relationship, then that's kind of the sealed deal. I feel like a lot of us have had arguments or, moments in relationships where you kind of start questioning the person because you realize something about them. You're like, can I still love them though? Like, I don't know. So I think that this was an extremely exaggerated version of it. Like, what I'm trying to say is you have those fleeting thoughts sometimes, like after a really big argument, right?
Of course.
And I feel like at the end when they interacted, it was just very much like they're both clearly willing to move past. And I think a lot of times when you do have arguments or when you get into these psychotic, like this means this plus this, like you just connect everything together to reaffirm this new feeling you have. Most of the time if the relationship lasts, you do feel really dumb about it after. You're like,
yeah,
this is just some guy and I'm just some girl.
I feel like that ending is what, it's almost reverted everything back into the original situation that we're in.
So personally, I had major bias for this movie going in because I was so excited to see Zendaya and Robert Pattinson play a couple. And it's not because I'm necessarily attached to them as actors. I just find them both to be so charismatic in real life, and I love the press tour. So I went into this just kind of jittery for the film to start, and I haven't felt that way in a minute based on actors in a film. So I definitely think we need more of this for our generation because it's kind of a dying thing with like the Hollywood star.
So for the performances for the drama, it kind of reminded me a lot of Dream Scenario, where I don't know if Nicolas Cage's performance is what made the film. It's more of Borgli's like direction, the script that he made, the tension that he creates that's like kind of slathered all throughout this film. The only person I would say is Alana Haim.
I hate to agree because I don't think anybody necessarily loves Alana Haim, but I, went in as a hater trying to give her the blame for my discomfort with this film. She did play a bitchy friend really well, and I did believe the fact that she would turn on you, but maybe that's just also my bias coming in.
I like the fact that these actors chose these characters.
Yeah, me too.
Like Zendaya as a whole is a very protected person. Like you get, I'm just kind of glad that she's not like a Dwayne The Rock Johnson where she like tries to hold up her persona so high. The performances are not great, but the characters were great.
I'm gonna rebuttal that because I do think that there is kind of this lack of really touching upon the characteristics that make who she's played so far controversial. Maybe not in Euphoria, I haven't seen Euphoria, but I would say in this film, in Challengers, and in Dune, she's always this enigma of a character. I kind of wish it got more grimy. I kind of wish I saw her snap a little or show a bit more of I'm complex beyond just this facade. And I know this film is told through Charlie's perspective, so we're seeing his idealized version of her and then seeing him unravel because he's taking everything as a sign of her flaws. But I do wish we got more from her perspective, more about her past that isn't just the surface level, oh, she's a shooter, controversial hee hee ha ha moments, and more about, her dad's in the military. I'm sure she got bullied. She's a mixed race woman. She's a woman, so I kind of wish there was more digging into those things. I'm not saying make the whole film this serious, I have to be politically correct type movie, but at the same time, if you're gonna bring such a hot topic into this character and make that something that defines her through Robert, I feel like it didn't really do much with it. And I think a lot of Zendaya's characters do that, where she's this really good tennis player who's intimidating and is this glamorized rich girl, but then what is she really besides just kind of a piece to the characters' relationships and Challengers? I kind of wish she stirred the pot more and was more direct versus being this background enigma. I think I'm kind of tired of her being like she's good at that, but I don't know.
So I'm gonna rebuttal your rebuttal. So I agree with everything that you said. However, so since it's through the perspective of Charlie's character, we don't know what Emma is saying is truthful or not. right? And so that's the thing that makes it perfect for Zendaya to be in, because she's an enigma, as you said, right? So we don't know ourselves if what she's saying is the truth, because it's not in her perspective.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's why it was such a great choice. But I do also wish we got to see, as we were saying, like her stirring the pot, and it was kind of getting to that moment in the wedding. She was stirring the pot a little bit. I do think that Zendaya's like mystery value that she has to every character she brings to was brought to this character, and we needed it. And that's the thing that I'm still really fucked with, is everything that she said truthful? Because we see that Robert Pattinson's character Charlie is a liar too. So if he's willing to lie, do you think that maybe she might be a liar as well?
We did just say that the performances aren't necessarily home runs or Oscar worthy or whatever, but I do really like this trajectory Robert Pattinson is going in, of playing these submissive buffoon characters. It's really interesting to me because, you know, my parents and my father grew up with characters like Scarface, Godfather, Al Pacino, men, they're violent, ooh, he has guns, oh, all this. And we're in such a different generation now where we do not like that. And we find that to be obviously, you know, romanticizing violence. And also women in those films tend to just be submissive and victims. So it's really refreshing for me to see these dynamics in modern films where we have a much more submissive, vulnerable, emotional male character juxtaposed with a very feral, outspoken and opinionated woman with like a big wall of you don't know how she feels. Because, hot take, I think that's more true to men and women, because I do think men fit much more in that chivalry medieval kind of perspective. And I'm not saying that there's a true answer and that's the defining dynamic or characteristic of men and women, because this is a really broad topic. But this is a new thing, you know? Before we would only see women as victims, only as like this, oh, don't leave me, I need you type character, or need to be saved, and it's just solely there to uplift the male character's ego and strength. And
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like, look at all of Zendaya's career. Her whole entire filmography is based off the concept that you're playing into. So not surprised. I'm just hoping that maybe Zendaya just does something else, right? It's like Sean Baker. It's like, yes, we get it. You're gonna do another
sex worker
films. Like, let's see something else.
Yeah.
But then at the same time,
like a stick poking.
Like, maybe that is
her strength.
But also maybe that's not a luxury yet for woman roles. I think we're slowly getting there to the opportunity for Zendaya to change. I don't know if Hollywood's ready yet, but I think she will be the person to break that door. The performances were great and all, but I think the standout thing for this film was the drama. I mean, it's named The Drama, but another thing that was so great is the marketing that came with the drama. This is why I'm so, I'm in love with this marketing, because there was a legit timer for Zendaya to initiate weddings at a chapel. And the whole thing about this film is almost like a timer. It's ticking down to the wedding. We're gonna see what happens.
It's like,
what
could
is
it
the
get
result?
worse?
Could it get worse?
Of course it does.
And what was so awesome too was that the trailers did such a great job, and I don't think I've seen a movie do trailers like this, where it's feeding us information that we understand. And now when we go into the theaters, like, yes, okay, I've seen this already. This one almost felt like a strategic play of like, what type of information should I give? What are the questions they're gonna ask? And let's keep them with those questions and see how they're gonna respond to the answer. Like, that's amazing. I think that's almost the ludicrous thing about this whole film, and Dream Scenario also does this, where we're so caught up in the present day that we don't even realize, like, is this really a big deal? Like, is this moment that we're all having right now, is it actually a big deal? Like, could we just stop and have a laugh about this and just move on? Would you rewatch this film? I'm assuming you probably no, right?
I guess I'd only rewatch it with a really close friend to see their reactions.
Yeah.
I just get a kick out of what they're seeing, but besides that, no.
Hate to say it, but no. And I think that I had the exact same reaction with Dream Scenario. I'm like, I don't think I would watch this again. I want to see more from this director. Hopefully, he can build on his voice, maybe build on that level.
For anyone that's watched the CMON Effect, did you notice Tashi's psyop was so strong that even Mickey himself was wanting to get out of it? He was surrounded by a whole cast and crew to make him realize that Tashi is crazy. But guess what happened? The wedding happened, and he married a potential school shooter. If Tashi was able to reel back Mickey into the reality that she's created, we're gonna have the Odyssey, and then we're gonna have Dune. We need a new savior. We need somebody to stop Tashi in her track, and I wonder if she wears Prada.
Thank you so much for even giving us your time. Please like, comment, subscribe, do everything, because we're a small channel and we need your help.
And we talk too much.
Yeah, we talk way too much.
What does a little white lie look like? Like, what is that really?
It's Wednesday.